Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to 2 Chronicles 22 to 28, Proverbs 11 and Psalm 19. Let's get started. And the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king of his place, while the band of men that came with the Arabians to him had killed all the other older sons. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, reigned. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, the granddaughter of Omri. He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his counselor in doing wickedly. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, as the house of Ahab had done. For after the death of his father, they were counselors to his undoing. He even followed their counsel and went with Jehoram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, to make war against Hazael, king of Syria at Ramoth Gilead. The Syrian wounded Joab, and he returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds that he had received at Ram when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. And Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to see Joab, the son of Ahab, in Jezreel, because he was wounded. But it was ordained by God that the downfall of Ahaziah should come as he was going to visit Joab. When he came there, he went out with Jehoram to meet Jehu, the son of Nimshi, whom the Lord anointed to destroy the house of Ahab. And when Jehu was executing judgment on the house of Ahab, he met the princes of Judah and the sons of Ahaziah's brothers, who attended Ahaziah, and he killed them. He searched for Ahaziah, and he was captured while hiding in Samaria, and he was brought to Jehu and put to death. They buried him, for he said, "He is the grandson of Jehoshaphat." He sought the Lord with all his heart. In the house of Ahaziah had no one to rule the kingdom. Now when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal family of the house of Judah. Jehoshaphat, the daughter of the king, took Joash the son of Ahaziah and took the storm away from among the king's sons, who were about to be put to death. And she put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Thus Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Jehoram, and the wife of Jehoiada the priest, because she was the sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah, so that she did not put him to death. And she remained with him 6 years, hidden in the house of God, while Athaliah reigned over the land. In the 7th year. But in the 7th year, Jehoiada took courage and entered into a covenant with the commanders of 100. Azariah, the son of Jeroham, Shmuel, the son of Jehohanan, Azariah, the son of Obed, and Asaiah, the son of Dan, and Elishaphat, the son of Zitri. And they went through Judah and gathered the Levites from all the cities of Judah, and the heads of Pharaoh's house of Israel, and they came to Jerusalem, and all the assembly made a covenant with the king in the house of God. And Jehoiada said to Jehovah, the king's son, as the Lord spake concerning the sons of David, this is the thing that ye shall do. There will be priests and Levites who come off Judah on the Sabbath. 1/3 shall be gatekeepers, and 1/3 shall be at the king's house, and 1/3 at the gate of the foundation. And all the Hebrews shall be in the courts of the house of the Lord, and let no one enter the house of the Lord except the priests and minister and Levites, may they enter for their holy. But all the people shall be in the courts of the house of the Lord. All the people shall keep the charge of the Lord. Levites shall surround the king, each with his weapons in his hand, and whoever enters shall be put to death. Even the king when he comes in and when he goes out. And the Levites and all Judah did according to all that Jehoiada the priest commanded. And they each brought his men who were to go off Judah on the Sabbath, with those who were to come on Judah on the Sabbath. But Jehoiada the priest did not dismiss the divisions. And Jehoiada the priest came to the captains of the spears, and the large and the small shields that had been King David's, which were in the house of God. They sent all the people as a guard for the king, every man with his weapon and in his hand. On the south side of the house, to the north of the house, around the altar in the house, and he brought the king's son and put the crown and the new testimony, and they proclaimed him king. And Jehoiada his son anointed him, and he said, "Long live the king." When Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and praising the king, she went into the house of the Lord to his people. And she looked, there was the king standing by his pillar at the entrance, and the captains and the trumpeters beside the king, and all the people of the land rejoicing in blowing trumpets, and the singers with their musical instruments leading in the celebration. And Athaliah tore her clothes and cried, "Treason, treason!" Then Jehoiada the priest brought out the captains who were set over the army, saying to him, "Bring her out between the ranks, and anyone who follows her is to be put to death with the sword." While the priest said, "Do not put her to death in the house of the Lord." They laid hands on her, and she went into the entrance of the house gate. with the king's house, and they put it to death there. And Jehoiada made a covenant between himself and all the people and the king, that they should be the Lord's people. And all the people went to the house of Baal, and tore down his altars and his images. His images they broke in pieces, and they killed Matan and the priest of Baal before the altars. And Jehoiada posted watchmen from the house of the Lord in the direction of the Levitical priests and the Levites. And David had organized to be in charge of the house of the Lord, to offer burnt offerings to the Lord, as it is written in the Lord Moses, with rejoicing and singing, according to the order of David. He stationed the gatekeepers at the gates of the house of the Lord, so that no one should enter who was in any way unclean. And he took the captains, the nobles, the governors of the people, and all the people of the land. And they brought the king down in from the house of the Lord, marching through the upper gate to the king's house. And they set the king on the royal throne. So all the people of the land rejoiced. And the city was quiet after Athaliah had been put to death with the sword. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah Bishma, and Joash did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Jehoiada got for him 2 wives, his sons and daughters. After this, Joash decided to restore the house of the Lord, and he gathered the priests and the Levites and said to them, "Go out to the cities of Judah and gather from all Israel the money to repair the house of your God from year to year. And see that you act quickly." And the Levites did not act quickly, so the king summoned Jehoiada the chief, and said to him, "Why have you not required the Levites to bring in from Judah and Jerusalem the tax levied by Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the congregation of Israel for the tent of testimony?" And the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken into the house of God, and also used all the dedicated things of the house of the Lord for the Baals. The king commanded, and they made a chest and set outside the gate of the house of the Lord, and proclamation was made throughout Judah and Jerusalem to bring it in to the Lord the tax that Moses the servant of God laid on Israel in the wilderness. And all the princes and all the evil rejoiced, and brought the tax and dropped it into the chest until they had finished. And whenever the chest was brought to the king's officers by the Levites, they saw that there was much money in it. The king's secretary and also the chief priest would come and empty the chest, and take it and return it to its place. Else they did day after day, collected money in abundance. And the king and Jehoiada gave it to those who had charge of the work of the house of the Lord. And they hired masons and carpenters to restore the house of the Lord, and some workers and iron bronze to repair the house of the Lord. So those who were engaged in the work labored, and the repairing went forward in their heads. They restored the house of God to its proper condition, and strengthened it. And they finished, they brought the rest of their money before the king and Jehoiada, and with them were made utensils of the house of the Lord, faithful service and burnt offerings, and dishes for incense and vessels for gold and silver. And they offered burnt offerings in the house of the Lord regularly all the days of Jehoiada. And Jehoiada grew old and 4 days and died. He was 130 years old at his death. And they buried him in the city of David, among the kings, because he had done good in Israel toward God and his house. And now after the death of Jehoiada, the princes of Judah came and paid homage to the king. And the king listened to them, and they buried him in the house of the Lord, the God of their fathers, as Asher and the idols. And wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem of this guilt of theirs. He sent prophets among them to bring them back to the Lord. He testified against them, but he would not pay attention. And the Spirit of God clothed Zechariah the son of Jehoiada the priest, and he stood above the people, and said to them, "Thus says God, why do you break the commandments of the Lord, so that you cannot prosper? Those who have forsaken the Lord, he has forsaken you." But they conspired against him. I commanded the king, they stoned him with stones in the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash the king did not remember the kindness that Jehoiada, Zechariah's father, had shown him, but killed his son. And when he was dying, he said, "May the Lord send avenge." At the end of the year, the army of the Syrians came against Joash. They came to Judah and Jerusalem, and destroyed all the princes of people from among the people, and sent all their spoil to the king of Damascus. Through the army of Syria had come with Hebrew, the Lord delivered into the hand a great army. And because Judah had forsaken the Lord, the God of their fathers, thus they executed judgment on Joash. And they departed from him, leaving him severely wounded. His servants conspired against him because of the blood of the son of Jehoiada the priest, and killed him on his bed. So he died, and they buried him in the city of David, as they did not bury him in the tombs of the kings. Those who conspired against him was Zabad the son of Shemith the Ammonite, and Jehoshaphat the son of Shimrith the Moabite. The accounts of his sons and of many oracles against it, and of the rebuilding of the house of God are written in the story of the book of the kings. and Amaziah his son reigned in his place. Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoiada at Jerusalem, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He had not with the whole heart, and as soon as his royal power was firmly his, he killed all his servants who struck down the king, his son, and he did not put their children to death, according to what is written in the law in the book of Moses, which the Lord commanded. Fathers shall not die because of their own children, nor children die because of their father, but each one shall die for his own sin. And Amaziah assembled the men of Judah and set them by fathers' houses. This under the commands of thousands and of hundreds for all Judah and Benjamin. He mustered those 20 years old and upward, and found that there were 300,000 choice men, fit for war, able to handle spear and shield. He also 100,000 mighty men of valor, from Israel for 100 talents of silver. But the man of God came to him and said, O king, do not let the army of Israel go with you, for the Lord is not with Israel. With all these Ephraimites, but go act, be strong for the battle. Why should you suppose that God will cast you down before the enemy? And God is power to help or to cast out. And Amaziah said to him, what shall I do about the 100 talents that I have given to the army of Israel? And God said, the Lord is able to give you much more than this. And Amaziah discharged the army that had come to him from Ephraim to go home again. And they became very angry with Judah and returned to home in fierce anger. And Amaziah took courage and led out his people and went to the valley of Salt and struck down 10,000 men of Seir. The men of Judah captured another 10,000 alive and took them to the top of a rock and threw them down from the top of the rock, and they were all dashed to pieces. And the men of the sea whom Amaziah sent back, not letting them go with him to the battle, raided the cities of Judah, taking from Samaria to Bethel, and struck down 3,000 people and took much spoil. After Amaziah came from striking down the Edomites, he brought the gods of the men of Seir and set them up as his gods and worshipped them, making offerings to them. Therefore the Lord was angry with Amaziah and sent to him a prophet, who said to him, why have you sought the gods of the people, who did not deliver their own people from your hand? As he was speaking, the king said to him, have we made you a royal counselor? Stop, why should you be struck down? So the prophet stopped, and said, I know that God is determined to destroy you, because you have done this and have not listened to my counsel. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, took counsel and sent to Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let us look one another in the face. And Joash, the king of Israel, sent word to Amaziah, king of Judah. If this one the man sent to his setter on the man, saying, give your daughter to my son for a wife. And a wild beast on the back passed by and trampled down the thistle. So you say, see, I struck an enemy, your heart left you up in boastfulness. And now stay at home, why should you provoke Joash so that you fall, you and Judah with you? But Amaziah would not listen, for it was of God, in order that he might give them into the hand of their enemies. Thus they sought the gods of Edom. So Joash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah faced Judah. Raised one another in battle at Bethshemesh, which belongs to Judah. And Judah was defeated by Israel, and every man fled to his home. And Joash, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, son of Ahaziah, at Bethshemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and broke down the wall of Jerusalem for 400 cubits, from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate. And he seized all the gold and silver, and all the vessels that were found in the house of God, in the care of Obed-Edom. He seized most of the treasuries of the king's house, those are hostages, and returned to Samaria. And Amaziah, the son of Joash, the king of Judah, lived 15 years after the death of Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel. The rest of the deeds of Amaziah, from first to last, are they not written in the book of the kingdoms of Judah and Israel? From the time when he turned away from the Lord, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem. And he fled to Lachish, but they sent after him to Lachish and put him to death there. And they brought him upon horses. He was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Amaziah. He built Eloth and restored it to Judah after the king slept with his fathers. Uzziah was 16 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jecholiah of Jerusalem, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done. He set himself out to seek God in the days of Zechariah, in the fear of God. As long as he sought the Lord, God made him prosper. He went out and made war against the Philistines, and broke through the wall of Gath, and the wall of Jabneh, and the wall of Ashdod. And he built cities in the territory of Ashdod, and elsewhere among the Philistines. God helped him against the Philistines, against Arabians who lived in Gurabal, and against the Meunites, the Ammonites, and paid tribute to Uzziah. As his fame spread even to the border of Egypt, for he became very strong. Moreover, Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the corner gate, and at the valley gate at the angle, and he fortified them. And he built towers in the wilderness, and he cut off many sisters. We had large herds, both in the Shephelah and in the plain. And he had followers and minders in the hills and in the fertile lands, where he loved the soil. Moreover, Uzziah had an army of soldiers, faithful in divisions according to numbers in the muster made by Geo the secretary, and Manasseh the officer, under the direction of Hananiah, one of the king's commanders. The whole number of the heads of fathers' houses of the mighty men of Val was 2,600. Under their command was an army of 307,500, who could make war with mighty power to help the king against the enemy. And Uzziah prepared for all the army, shields, spears, helmets, coats of mail, bows, and stones were slain. In Jerusalem he made machines, invented by skillful men, to be on the towers and the corners, to shoot arrows and to get in great stones. And his fame spread far, for he was marvelously helped, till he was strong. But when he was strong, he grew proud to his destruction. He was unfaithful to the Lord his God, and entered the temple of the Lord to burn incense on the altar of incense. Uzziah the priest went in after him with 80 priests of the Lord who were men of valor, and they withstood King Uzziah and said to him, It is not for you, Uzziah, to burn incense to the Lord, but for the priests, the sons of Aaron, who are consecrated to burn incense. Go out of the sanctuary, for you have done wrong, and it will bring you to no honor from the Lord God. And Uzziah was angry. Now he had a censer in his hand to burn incense, and when he became angry with the priest, leprosy broke out on his forehead in the presence of the priest in the house of the Lord. And at the altar of incense, and Uzziah the chief priest and all the priests looked at him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead, and they rushed him out quickly. And he himself hurried to go. His Lord struck him, and King Uzziah was a leper to the day of his death, and being a leper lived in a separate house. He was excluded from the house of the Lord, and Jotham his son was over the king's household, governing the people of the land. And the rest of the acts of Uzziah from first to last. Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, wrote, And Uzziah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the burial field that belonged to the kings. For they said, He is a leper. And Jotham his son reigned in his place. Jotham was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Uzziah had done, except he did not enter the temple of the Lord. But the people still followed corrupt practices. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord, and did much building on the wall of El. Moreover, he built cities in the hill countries of Judah, and forts and towers on the wooded hills. He fought with the king of the Ammonites and prevailed against him. And the Ammonites gave him that year 100 talents of silver, and 10,000 cores of wheat, and 10,000 of barley. And the Ammonites paid him the same amount in the second and third year. So Jotham became mighty, because he ordered his ways before the Lord his God. And the rest of the acts of Jotham, and all his wars in his ways, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And Jotham slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David. And Ahaz his son reigned in his place. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And he did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as his father David had done, but he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. He made battle, and we Israel the battle. And he made offerings in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burned his sons as an offering, according to the abominations of the nations, and the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. And he sacrificed and made offerings on the high places, and on the hills, and on every green tree. Therefore the Lord his God gave unto him the king of Syria, who defeated him and took captive a great number of his people and brought them to Damascus. He was also given unto him the king of Israel, who struck him with great force. From Pekah the son of Remaliah killed 120,000 from Judah in one day, all of the men of Val. When first they had forsaken the Lord, the God of their fathers. And Zechariah, a mighty man of Ephraim, killed Manasseh, the king's son, and Azrikam, the commander of the house of Elkanah, the next in authority to the king. And then Israel took captive 200,000 of their relatives, women, sons, and daughters. Israel took much spoil from them, and brought the spoil to Samaria. But a prophet of the Lord was there, whose name was Oded, and he went out to meet the army that came to Samaria, and said to Yahweh, because the Lord, the God of your fathers, was angry with you, he gave them into your hand, and you killed them in a rage, and you reach up to heaven, and you intend to subjugate the people of Judah and Jerusalem, male and female, as your slaves. Have you not the sins of your own against the Lord your God? Now hear me, and send back the captives of your relatives, whom you have taken over. The fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you. Send chiefs also of the men of Ephraim, and Azariah the son of Johanan, Berechiah the son of Meshillemoth, Jehizkiah the son of Shal, and Massa the son of Hadlai stood up against those who were coming for the war, and said to you, shall not bring the captives in here, but you propose to bring them from this guild against the Lord, in addition to our present sins and guilt. For our guilt is already great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So the young men left the captives and swore before the princes, and ruled solemnly. So the men who had been mentioned by name rose and took the captives, and with the spoil they clothed all who were naked among them. They clothed them, gave them sandals, provided them with food, and anointed them, and carrying all the people among their own donkeys, and they brought them to King's Rock at Jericho, and cedar palm trees, and they returned to Samaria. And at that time, King Ahaz sent to the king of Assyria for help. For the Edomites had again invaded and defeated Judah, and carried away captives, and the Philistines had made raids on the cities of the Shepha and the Negev of Judah, and had taken Beth-Shemesh, Aijalon, and Gederoth, Sarkah with his village, Timnah with his villages, and Gizmo with his villages, Gimmizah with his villages. And they saw that the Lord had humbled Judah because of Ahaz king of Israel, but he had made Judah act sinfully and had been very unfaithful to the Lord. They took off the pillars of King of Assyria, came with him, and afflicted him instead of strengthening him. So Ahaz portion on the house of the Lord and the house of the king and of priests, princes, and gave tribute to the king of Syria. But did not help him, but in the time of his distress he became yet more faithless to the Lord. His saying King Ahaz, so he sacrificed to the gods of Damascus, that defeated him, and said, because the gods of the kings of Syria helped him, I sacrificed to them, that they may help me, but they were the ruin of him and all for Israel. And Ahaz gathered together the vessels of the house of God, and cut in pieces the vessels of the house of God. And he shut the doors of the house of the Lord, and made himself altars in every corner of Jerusalem. In every city of Judah he made high places to make offerings to other gods, hurrying Daniel the Lord, the God whose fathers now the rest of his acts, and all those ways from first to last. Behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. And Ahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city in Jerusalem. And they did not bring him into the tombs of the kings of Israel. And his king son reigned in his place. Proverbs 11. A false boast is an abomination to the Lord, but a just way is delight. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But the humble's wisdom, the integrity of the outright guides them, and the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath. The righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless keeps his way straight. But the wicked falls by his own wickedness, and the righteousness of the outright delivers them. And the treacherous are taken captive by their loss. When the wicked dies, his hope will perish, and the expectation of blood perishes too. The righteousness delivers from trouble, but the wicked walks into it instead. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor. By knowledge the righteous are delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the sea rejoices. When the wicked perish, he shuts the gladness. By the blessing of the right way, I see is exalted. By the mouth of the wicked is overthrown. Whoever builds little is his neighbor lacks sense. And a man who understands remains silent. Whoever goes about slander reveals secrets, and he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. Where there is no grounds, the people falls, and in abundance the counsel of their safety. Whoever puts up security for a stranger will surely suffer harm. But he who hates striking hands and pledges secure. The gracious one gets honor, and a violent man gets riches. A man whose kind benefits himself, when a cold man hurts himself. The wicked earns deceptive wages, but one who sows righteousness gets sure rule. Whoever establishes in righteousness will live, and he who perceives evil will die. Those who crooked heart are an abomination to the Lord, but those who blameless ways are his delight. He has shown evil has will not go unpunished, but the offspring of the righteous will be delivered. Like God bringing a pig snare, a beautiful woman without discretion. The desire of the righteous ends only in good, the expectation of the wicked in wrath. One gives freely, yet carries with the rich, and one another withholds what he should give. And the Sabbath will whoever gives blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself reward. The bill curse him who holds back. Below, the blessing is on the head of him who sells. Whoever is diligently seeks good seeks favor. Evil comes to his whoever trusts in his riches will fall, and the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. Whoever troubles his own household will inherit the wind, and the fool will be sent to the wise heart. Whoever frees the righteous is a tree of life, and whoever captures souls is wise. And the righteous is repaid on earth, how much more the wicked and the sinner. Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. There is no speech, no other words, and his voice is not heard. Their voice goes through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. And there he is set a tent for the sun. He comes out like a bridegroom leaving his chamber, and like a strong man runs its course with joy, and is rising from the end of the heavens, and circuits to the end of them, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. The Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, and he wise the symbol, the precepts of the Lord are right. Rejoicing in the heart, the commandments of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes of him. The Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true, the right and righteous altogether. All to be desired you are they than God. But even much fine God is here, so then honey and gems on the honeycomb. Remember by them is your several Lord, and keeping them there is great reward, and good descendants out. And let me instead from hidden false feet, when I can send for except from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be cleansed, and there is no great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Now the stars, and I through the Lord's prayer, I place my hands of Father in heaven. Hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.